Hey, what is going on, everyone? RC84 here. Like always, thanks for watching. Well, my friends, welcome to part 6 of Project Humvee, and this is scaling out the Humvee. Now, as you can see behind me, the Humvee sits next to me, and it is already scaled out. Now, I initially wanted to film the whole process of me scaling out the vehicle, but I did not do, and here's the reason why. First off, I really didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. Like, I had a general idea, but I didn't know exactly how to approach it, what was going to work, what was not going to work, what looked good, what not looked good. So I kind of had to just sit back, look at it, and study it and stuff. And so I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and scale it out. That way I'll have all my focus on scaling out the body, and then I'll film a video and talk about each thing that I did. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna film it and talk about each thing that I did. Now, I did a total of 9 things to the vehicle, so let's go ahead and get into this. So the first thing that I did on the Humvee body was I painted underneath the body shell in a matte black. This is something I tend to do on all of my RC body shells, light sand and hard shell. I like to paint the inside or underneath either gloss black, satin black, or a matte black, depending on the paint scheme that I'm going with on the body shell. Now, the reason why I paint it in a black is because the black tends to cast a shadow over the chassis of your vehicle and hides a lot of your electronics and other things as well. And plus, it also makes the vehicle look a lot better, especially being on film. It makes it look 10 times better. So that's the reason why I do that. The second thing that I did on the Humvee body was I painted all 4 doors, the rear hatch and the top hatch, in that same matte black color as well. Now, I do want to clarify this up, that everything on the vehicle has been brushed in. I have not used any spray whatsoever. I use acrylic paint to brush on, and it dries up really quick, and it takes a few coats to do, but the final end results turned out fabulous. It looks great. Right? So now, the reason why I decided to paint the 4 doors and the top door and the hatch is because I felt like the vehicle had way too much camouflage on it. And I know it's a US military Humvee, the camouflage is much needed thing, but we're not fighting any wars. This is my everyday truck kind of vehicle, you know, so it doesn't need to fight any wars or whatsoever. But yeah, all right. So, but yeah, I just wanted to cut down on the camouflage, so I figured why not paint the 4 doors and the hatch and the top part in that same matte black color. So it really turned out well, and I'm glad I did it. The third thing that I did on the Humvee body was I worked on the air breather, or some people like to call it the snorkeler part. Now, I initially painted the same matte black colors I painted the 4 doors and underneath, but for some reason the paint did not want to bond to that surface. Now, the breather is made of this metal, metal, and for some reason it just did not want to bond to that surface. So I had to think of another way to get the air breather to be that matte black color to go along with the vehicle. So I got a little creative on this part right here. I ended up using some heat shrink tubing. Now, I have one of those kits that has multiple sizes of heat shrink, from very, very small to very, very large. So I used a medium size, and it slid right down the air breather with no problems. It fit very, very nice. Couldn't ask for it to sit any perfect than that. Now, another thing I did on the air breather was on the top part of it, which I like to call it the top hat. I'm sure there's a name for it. But I ended up taking a little rubber black O-ring washer and stretching around the top of it to top off that part right there, since I couldn't get any heat shrink up there on that part right there. So that black rubber washer turned out to look really good on the air breather there. So I'm glad I did that part. Now, the fourth thing I did on the Humvee body was I worked on the rear passenger, or the rear passenger doors. I took out the stock windows and I put in this kind of mesh grill type stuff. I'm not exactly sure what it's actually called, but it's like a nylon kind of mesh grill stuff. And so I put that in there, and I thought that looked really sweet, and it's going to go along with the theme that I'm going to go with on this vehicle, which you will find out later on in this video what theme I'm going with. Alright, so that looked really sweet of doing that. Now, the fifth thing I did on the Humvee body was I touched up on the front bumper. I took that same mesh grill and put on the front bumper, well, kind of behind it actually. Now this was a tricky process and it took a little bit to do because I had to, you know, put it up there, trace around it, cut it out to where I needed it to be, trim a little bit more, and I glued it in there. Now I did glue the two sides, the two insides in, but the middle is being held in by zip ties right now. But I am going to work on that, see if I can get that middle part to be secure in that bumper as well, maybe glue it in there as well. But honestly, the zip ties don't look half bad on there from a distance. Alright, so that's what I did on that part. The sixth thing that I did on the Humvee body was I added some scale antennas. Now I had to do some research on this part right here to figure out where these are supposed to go out, how far they're supposed to be, and so I've seen a few pictures and video, and finally I saw one that went well. So I went with the ones where they actually go halfway on the body shell there, or on the body of it. Now I end up making these out of some utility flag holders right here. Now the reason why I decided to go with these is because they're very easy to flex and bend, and you can shape them pretty much any way you want to do. And so yeah, so utility flag, those are the ones you mark you know, gas lines, power lines, or RC competitions as well. So yeah, so I used that part on that, cut it in half, and then drilled some holes in the back of the body there, got them in there, and then bent them over, and then I used another piece of very small heat shrink on the body. I put the hole and slid the antennas through and have it mounted to the chassis, or to the body actually, and then I heated up that heat shrink to make it a little more stiffer so it wouldn't flop around so much when I'm out on the trails and stuff like that. So that's what I done on the part 6 of it. Now the seventh thing that I did on the vehicle was scaling it out. Now I got a lot of scaled out guns on this thing. I think around about total of 15 to 18 guns on this vehicle. Now I did a lot of guns, not because it is a US military vehicle. I did it because of the theme that I'm going with, which again, I would tell y'all later on here in this video of why I have so many guns and all this other crazy stuff. But yeah, so I got guns all over this vehicle. Not only do I have guns, but I also have a couple of scale items on there as well. So like I got a scale jack, some scale tools on there, along with scale gas tank, a lot of different things on there, and it looked really cool. Now these were these little Proline rock crawler accessories, and I painted those myself as well in a olive green color, just to kind of break up a little bit and, you know, get rid of that yellow color and have a color that went along with the vehicle as well, and it turned out very, very sweet. I'm glad I did that. Now how did I mount them on there? I actually used some stuff called E6000. I actually have it right here. This is E6000. This stuff is really great. Once you put it on, it's not gonna come off, I can guarantee it. But this stuff is really great. It's a permanent bond, it's waterproof. You can paint over it, it's very flexible and stuff. It's just extremely awesome stuff. Now, it's about $9 for this, or you can get a small tube of it for like $3 or something like that. But that's really good stuff. So that's how I mounted all the scale stuff on here. So yeah. Now the eighth thing that I did on the Humvee body was I added some custom fender flares on it, if you want to say. Now I used some rubber tubing for this, some small, very small rubber tubing, cut it down the middle and then fit it over the fender wells there, and it fit in there. I didn't have to glue anything because it made a nice tight fit, and it definitely made the vehicle look extremely well. So there you go, my friends. We have a totally scaled out US military Humvee, but there's something missing: a driver. You can't have a scaled out vehicle without a scaled driver. Now I thought about this, I was like, what driver could I use? What kind of action figure could I use in this vehicle that will go along with the theme and a military Humvee? So I thought about it, and I know right off the bat some of you guys are probably saying, that's easy. A US soldier, a GI Joe, something like that in the vehicle. Now I could do that, yes, but this is Project Humvee. I don't want to do an army action figure. So I thought about it, and I was like, there's only one person that I could put in this vehicle that will go along with a US military Humvee. This person also owns some military Humvees and Hummer H1s, and he's also the reason why the military Humvee came to the civilian world. That's the one and only, my friends, Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Terminator T-800. I suck at doing impressions, but yes, I did Arnold Schwarzenegger, the T-800 in the vehicle. Now, the reason why I decided to go with Arnold is because Arnold was the man who brung the civilian Humvee to the civilian world. Now, if you don't know the story of how the Hummer brand came to be and stuff like that, so let me tell you the story. Okay, so the story goes, Arnold Schwarzenegger was driving down the road one day, all right? He saw this convoy of military Humvees. He absolutely fell in love with the vehicle, the size of it, the capabilities, what they can do. He really wanted one. But at the time, the U.S. military would not sell him a U.S. military Humvee because it's for the U.S. military. Yeah, so he couldn't get one. So he got up with A&N General, which is the maker of the military Humvee, and he's like, "Oh, I want one of these. Let's bring it into a civilian world." I can't do impressions. Okay, so sorry, but yeah, he wanted one, so A&N General made a civilian version. So it was more hopped up and more luxurious and stuff like that, but still had the off-road capabilities of a U.S. military Humvee. And so he started the Hummer brand. So the Hummer H1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. We all know the only Humvee and Hummer H1s are the best. The Hummer H2s and 3s, not so, no. If you own a Hummer H2 or 3, hey, it's good that you have a Hummer brand, but hey, it's all good. But yeah, so that's the reason why I wanted to put them in there, and being the Terminator as well. Now, I didn't stop there. I was like, Arnold, or the Terminator, has to have a passenger. So I was like, okay, what passenger could I put in the vehicle to go along with him and the vehicle as well? So I thought about it, and it's like, okay, now I could put the co-star of Terminator, John Connor, in there, but that's too practical. That is going to be done, and I wanted to do something a little different. So I thought about, what about the other co-star of the Terminator films, Sarah O'Connor? All right, so I ended up picking up Sarah Connor, which I picked up the older version of her, Linda Green version, as you guys can see that. So I picked up that one because the young hot Sarah O'Connor was $75, and I was like, I don't know about that. $75, I don't know if she's going to fit or not fit in the Humvee. I was like, I don't really want to chop up $75 to put an action figure in there that's just going to sit in there. So I was like, $20 Sarah O'Connor. I don't know why I say O'Connor, but Connor. I'll take that and put that in there. So that is going to be the two drivers in the vehicle, driver and passenger. So yeah, so I'll be putting those in there, and it will be complete. The scaled out portion of the video will be complete on this. So yeah, so now we got a fully mapped out, scaled out, with scaled out drivers, scaled out accessory items, all that good stuff on the vehicle. But this is not the end of the project. I still have part 7 to do, which is going to be installing an RC sound unit. You can't have a scaled out vehicle without having a scaled motor inside, or a realistic motor sound coming from it. That's just me. I love my scale vehicles having a realistic engine sound in it. to really bring it to life. And so that's what part 7 is going to be about, installing an RC sound unit. So hopefully y'all stay around and watch that video. It's going to be pretty cool, and that sound unit is pretty awesome as well. So yeah. Alright my friends, well, I hope y'all had fun watching this video. If you did, click that thumbs like button. Comment down below if you have any questions whatsoever. I'll be happy to answer them. If it's a question about how did you do this, I'll try to answer it best as I can. Or, you know, if you want to request a video for me to do that as well. Say, hey, can you do a video on showing how to do this? I'll be happy to try to incorporate into the channel there for y'all. So yeah. Alright my friends, so thank you again for watching, and I will see y'all in part 7 of Project Humvee. Thank you for watching, and I'll see y'all later.